Hi everyone, welcome to Heart Homes 2020. I made this art project because I wanted to have something in the box that reminded us of one of the best things to come out of 2020, which was hearts in the window, in my opinion. I made a little quote to go along with it that says, "A time when the world was apart and brought together with a heart." And I think that really sums up especially the first part of our quarantine in March. I know for myself and my family, we loved going around and looking at all the hearts in the windows, and it just kind of made us all feel connected when we couldn't see each other. So I made a little portrait drawing that I'm going to show you. You're going to need, this is a watercolor paper, and even though there aren't watercolors in the box, I'm going to show you a little trick that I use that I like when I don't have watercolors available. We're just going to add a little water to the paint that you have. So you're going to need your pencil, your crayons, all your paints, and then I just filled up a few little cups with a bit of water in the bottom. You can use any cups that you have at home. You don't need very much water because we'll just keep adding paint to it. And you'll need your paintbrush. Okay, let's get started. I'll move my camera so you can follow along with my drawing first. Now, keep in mind that for some of you, you're going to want to draw all the houses. They are going to need to be a bit smaller. But for some of you, you might want to just draw one or two houses. Maybe you like to draw big and maybe run out of room. And I don't want you to stress out about that. I just want you to do the parts that fit on your paper, because at the end of the day, it's going to turn out amazing whether you have 3 houses, 4 houses. We're going to add a few trees and a cloud. So keep in mind when we're working with our space that if you feel like it's too crowded, then maybe just leave a house out. So we're going to start in the middle of our page. We're going to draw a house that kind of reminded me of my house. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a square. So I'm going to draw a line here and a line here. And then I'm going to join it across the top. So it's like a square almost. Got some shadows in there. Once I have that, I'm actually going to, it's almost like giving it a little brim of a hat. I'm going to come out a little further on each side, and then I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to connect that line, and that's going to give my house a little bit of definition. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up again, and I'm going to put a roof on. My roof for this house is pointy. So I'm going to, I start like kind of in the middle and then just bring my lines down. Give you a little bit of time. Remember, you can always pause me. And then I'm going to go parallel. That means I'm going to run right along that same line on both sides, and let me show you. And then I'm going to join it. And I'm going to draw a little chimney at the top. And I'm also going to draw a big window. So I'm going to come right across here and right across the bottom. And then I'll join the ends. And this window, I'm going to draw a line down the middle and another line here, but I'm actually going to draw 2 in the middle of that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a door. Now I don't have a brown door on my house. I have a white door, but I really want a brown door. So you know how sometimes you get inspiration and sometimes you can just draw what you're dreaming of. And then I'm going to add 2 windows. I'm going to draw them kind of on each side. So just 2 squares or rectangles. I drew lots of windows in this drawing because I wanted lots of spots to show our hearts in the windows. And then just to add a little interest, I added a few bushes out front. And if you've ever been to my house, you know that I actually do have a few bushes out front. They're new. So I just did some curved lines. They almost look kind of like clouds, but they're bushes. And then I'm going to add a few hearts. So in this window, I'm going to make a heart that fills up the whole window. And when we were driving around, we saw all sorts of hearts. One of my friends did a really nice display in her windows, and she had them kind of like these little guys just all over the place. So you decide where you want your hearts in the windows. Now, I've got my first house drawn, and I want to draw a little neighborhood because that's just really what this picture is depicting. Now remember, if you drew this house really big and you only have that one, want to have that one, then that's okay. If you have room, then what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to draw a little bit shorter house. It's going to have a flat roof. So I'm going to draw a line that comes across like this. And then it's going to just sort of slant down. Let me lift that up for you. And I like when pictures don't show the full thing, and I call it falling off the page. So even though the full roof of this house isn't on there, you can kind of imagine what it would look like. I'm going to draw a circle window in the top of this house. And I did a nice big circle because when I outline with my black crayon, I want lots of room. Do another circle inside. And then I just crossed it with a T. And I like all these different styles of windows. My husband's family lives in the States, and there's a lot of really cute houses that are super old. And one of my favorite things to do is just go for drives and look at them and all the character that they have. So I've got these curved lines coming from this roof line. Kind of gives it a scalped edge, I guess it would be called. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a door. And I'm going to add a window to this door. A cute little upper window. And I'm going to add a circle with a line just to make a little door knocker. And then at the top here, I'm going to do 2 windows, but they're not going to be square. So I'm going to start with a straight line, but then I'm going to come up and around. So those are some curved windows. Do the same thing over here, up and around. And then I'm gonna put a little window box at the bottom. And that's gonna just look like this. And just adds a little more character to our house. And I'm gonna add some bushes here. I'm gonna make these ones a little bit taller and skinnier. I think that looks really cute. And then I just want to add some lines into my windows. That's taking shape. And I've got room for one more house here. And I'm going to start with a little upper window. And I would love to have a house with one of these windows and what it is. So I'm going to draw the bottom. Let me just get my spacing. So I'm going to draw a line about here and about that long. I'm going to come up on both sides. I think these are called dormer windows. And a lot of houses from like the 1920s have these type of windows. I'm going to, it actually will first look kind of like a little birdhouse, I feel like. And then just like this roof line on here, we're going to follow the lines that we just did and join them. And then put a little window inside, which will be a square. And I'm just gonna cross it as well. It kind of looks like a little floating window. Really cute. And then I'm gonna add the house to this window. So this window is kind of jetting out of the house. So I'm going to draw a line here, and then I'm just going to follow it right on the other side. And then I'm going to make the roof line slant down on this house as well, towards my middle house. And then I'm going to do a line that comes right about here. And then you can see how that window just kind of looks like it's popping out. You could also add some lines like this to give it a 3D look if you want. And then I'm actually going to come like kind of down right here and down right here, just to give the illusion that the house is slanted in. And in this little crevice here, I'm going to do another little bush on the side. Just adds a little detail. If you don't have enough room, don't worry. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. This is just to spark some ideas. Now I've got 2 square doors. I'm actually going to do a curved door on this one. I'm going to come up and around and back down. And I'm going to also do some curved windows to match the door on each side. And I'll put a cross in each. and a big doorknob. Now, right here, we've had bushes all the way along. You might want to put some flowers in. Maybe you want something a little bit different. Totally up to you. The first house that we bought had a beautiful flower garden. The lady that lived there had lived there a very long time and had really made this amazing backyard garden. And I really didn't know the first thing about gardening. And I feel like I didn't do those flowers justice because, I mean, I love a flower garden, but I don't necessarily have the greenest thumb. Okay, so you've got your little neighborhood here. Now, in the back, I'm going to draw one more house. If you don't have room, don't worry about it, or if you like it just like this, then just leave it. I'm just gonna draw a taller house coming up from here. And it's going to have a flat roof line like this. And then it's gonna come up on both sides. And I'm actually going to do a couple lines across like this. And then I'm going to do a few lines here. I'm going to show you how to stagger those. Just going to be a different way to do the roofing. So when you do the second line goes in the middle. Like that. And then I'm going to do one, actually, you know what I'm going to do for this one is 2 tall, skinny windows. Because that's another thing I would love in my house if I could build a house, is floor to ceiling windows. That would be amazing. So I'm going to draw a line up here and a line up here. Draw my lines across. Now I've got some space here and I'm going to fill it. You don't always have to fill it, but I'm going to today. I'm going to do a cloud that is passing in behind the tallest house. And then I'm going to do a tree over here, and it's going to kind of come down looking like a leaf. So I'm going to start at the top and come down like this. And I'm going to trace that line, not trace it, sorry, run a line parallel. So alongside it with a little space. And then I'm going to do the trunk. The trunk comes up like this. Kind of just a different way. Just imagine some little animal living in there. I'm gonna put some circles on here. Maybe this is a fruit tree. I grew up in the Okanagan, and fruit trees are everywhere there. It's a wonderful place to live. And then I'm going to put one more tree here. I'm just going to do our curved line. It's going to be a bushy tree with some leaves in it and some more fruit. Then I'm just looking at my chimney. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did to this roof. I'm going to do some lines across. And then I'm going to stagger the lines so it looks like brick. And now that I have all this, I'm ready to use my crayons and outline everything in black. So remember, when you're doing this, if I'm going too fast, pause me. If I'm going too slow, you can speed me up. It's kind of the nice thing about YouTube and having the videos is that you get to kind of determine the pace of the class, and I really love that. So I'm just gonna go all the way around. I'm just outlining all of my pencil. Now, some of your hearts and such might be too small to outline, so I'm gonna show you a trick. If you're kind of thinking like, oh, it's gonna be hard to outline, I'm gonna show you something you can do. Remember when you hold your crayon, we tend to press pretty hard, that I want you to close to the bottom, pinch and rest, and then your crayon won't snap. And I'll just work away, getting all of these lines outlined that I feel like I have enough room to do. And then I'll show you that trick with the ones that are too small. And come up here and down. Okay, now I didn't want this picture to look too Christmassy because even though this is the winter box, so it's essentially a Christmas box, I wanted you to have something that you could keep up and that wasn't seasonal if you chose. Because there's a nice little frame trick in your kit that we'll talk about in a little bit. And if you've done the Christmas tree on film, clear film, then you know that trick because I used it for that as well. So I'm just gonna come up and around. I'm going to draw my lines. Those hearts are too small for right now, so I'm gonna leave them. I'm gonna come up on here. And one thing that I really like about a lot of times if you come to class, I use pastel and watercolor. And I always tell the kids that when we outline in black, especially with the pastel, it gets really messy. And so I didn't add that in this kit because I wasn't there to reassure you that that's okay. But when it gets messy like that, that's actually the best part because then it starts to look like a painting. It all smudges together. And same with crayon, except for with crayon, it stays put. It doesn't usually get on the side of your hand like pastel. So I thought for this kit, we would just stick with the crayon because crayon will also resist watercolor. And even though we're kind of cheating by using the paint with water, the crayon will still resist it. We just have to be a little bit more careful. With watercolor and pastel, it's really fun. And I think maybe in the spring box, I'll put that technique in because that like literally is my favorite technique. But now that you've had some experience with this part, then I think it'd be nice to add that. So I'm just about done outlining. Remember, if you're not, then just hit pause and then press play again when you get to the point where all your lines are outlined in black. And I'm just gonna show you right now what I was talking about. If it seems a little too small. So sometimes when you outline something tiny, then it just becomes all black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna color these hearts in first. I'm gonna get them red because I wanted them red. So I've got them red. And then I'm going to go around the outside just kind of like a little bit of black. I'm just kind of not even really going all the way around. I'm just giving it a little touch. And I'm going to do that here. I'm going to color inside here. And I like kind of rubbing it into the black. And I know I've gone outside the lines a little bit, but that's okay because I'm going to put some yellow. And you can see as I color, it kind of drags it. But I love, love, love that look. I love dragging the black into the yellow or whatever other color because I think it just looks like a portrait, a painting. It looks so good. I'm gonna put lights on in all my windows. So like for this one. And then what you can do, because these houses don't have hearts yet, you can stick your little hearts in. I'm gonna just color it with red and then give it a little black around it. And you can do all different colors of hearts if you want. I think that was a really cool thing around town is that there were just so many different ideas for hearts in the window. It was just so cute. So I'm just doing hearts everywhere. And then I'm giving them a little definition with the black around, not being too fussy, because once it's all done, it's gonna look great. Do a little one down here. And it's like pictures like this, you can just imagine like who is living in these houses, putting these hearts up, maybe remembering when you put hearts up in your windows. Maybe you want to do that again after Christmas when all the Christmas stuff comes down. And it's kind of cool because you're taking your yellow and you're turning the lights on in the houses. I think that looks so good. And I'm just literally running my crayon across and trying to drag the black in. And this last little window here, and then our floor to ceiling windows. Okay, I think I got all my windows done. Now, I'm going to put some brown on here. I'm gonna leave some of my bigger spaces because that's where I kind of want to show you the paint trick, because this is going to be a combination of coloring and paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of color in some of the smaller spots and then use paint. Here's my brown door I was talking about. And color that in. I think I'm also going to color my bushes in. And then I'll use the paint on the houses and the sky and the trees. And go like that. And get inside of here. And inside of this one. It's really fun to decide, ooh, I wonder what color I want that door to be. Or that house to be. I know when I was younger, I was always wanting to be a designer, clothes designer, fashion designer. I love to draw and color. I love deciding what things would look like. Okay, so now, let's see, I think I'm going to color into the little window boxes here. And I'm going to match this up here with that, just so it all kind of goes together. And then I'm going to, what else do I want to color? Like, maybe I'll take this roof and make it yellow and drag some of that black in there. I think this tree is going to have some red in it just to kind of add some pop and bring in some of the red from the hearts and kind of tie it all together. But whatever you guys choose is going to be great. And I think I'm also going to go like this because it'll be like apple tree maybe, or cherry. Oh my gosh, Okanagan cherries. So good. I'm going to do some leaves. Some apples. Okay. So now I'm just looking at my picture thinking that it's almost ready. Here's some stems, and that's pretty tiny. So I think I'm just going to color without outlining that part. Get these green leaves in. Our little flower garden. Okay. And maybe, yeah, I think that looks really good. I'm gonna start painting. I might like look at this and think, oh, I want to put a bit more crayon somewhere. Like I'm actually just kind of looking at my roof line. And I think I'm gonna add some wood color here and here to tie that door in and the chimney. And next door, I'm gonna do the same. And I'm gonna color the little dormer red to tie in with the door of the house. And then I think we're ready for painting. Okay, so I've got my little brush. It's a little flat brush. It's actually a really nice brush. I'm going to paint this house blue. So what I'm going to do is open up my blue paint, and I'm just going to dab my paint and dab it into some water. I'm just gonna, this acrylic paint is so thick, it's perfect for the driftwood. But it also is a little, it gets quite thick, so it can do with a little bit of water mixing. Okay, so I'm gonna just give this a try. It's kind of trial and error. Now this is going to be thicker than watercolor paint, so you do still have to kind of be careful because it won't resist as much as true watercolor. So I'm just gonna dab in here and come all the way up and around. Oh, that's so pretty. I love the way the blue and the yellow look. I love the artist Van Gogh. He uses a lot of these colors in his art. And whenever I see these colors together, I think of him. And then I'm gonna go up here. My brush is, when it gets scratchy, you know, you need a bit more water. And come around here. Right around the bottom. And tuck it in here. So I painted that house. I think that looks really good. I don't want to hold it up too long because it's kind of drippy. And I don't want that to slide into anything. Okay, so I've got some water to clean my brush off. And just clean it off here. And then I want to do some red. I'm going to do some red on the roof. So take a little bit of red. Whoops. And actually it's really nice to have a cloth to wipe your pencil after, or your pencil, your paintbrush. Okay, so I've got some good red, watery red. And this will make your paint just like go so far, which is nice because paints and stuff are so expensive. So it's nice when you can make something go a little further. So I'm just gonna paint around here and paint on here. And there was a little bit of blue left on my brush and you can see it kind of went a fuchsia because purple, or like, which is a kind of a purple, because blue and red make purple. So you might be surprised by the colors you get too, but this is really cute. I like this. And I think I'm actually gonna add a bit of this to my door because that'll just tie in the roof with the door. And then I might even leave this house white. I'm not too sure yet. I think what I could do is put some little dabs of blue in here to kind of tie it all together. And a lot of times when there's a small spot, I like to just dab it, tap it up and down like this. And that's really tying everything in together. I'm gonna decide on this house color, if I'm gonna give it a color or leave it white after I do my background. Okay, so now I'm going to get my yellow and I'm gonna add a little yellow to this water. Remember, you can just use whatever cups you have. If you have little plastic cups, just little cups in your cupboard. Any little cup will do with water added to it. So I've got a nice little watery yellow mixture. And I'm going to add that. I think I'm gonna do the roof yellow. And then we'll just give that a little, cover that up. And go like that. There we go. It's really cute. And I'm also gonna clean off my brush really well because I want to do this house in the background. I want to do it like a real red, not the purpley fuchsia. So I'm gonna wipe my brush off really well. Get a new little water and put red in. Let's see if I can get it to go like a deep dark red like it does on the wood. And if not, well, then that's the color I get. Yeah, that's a bit darker. I'm gonna go all the way around in here. Sometimes I don't know what color I want something to be. So I work on the stuff that I do know. Like I know my trees are gonna be green, my sky's gonna be blue, because then once I have that part, then I can kind of make some decisions based on the colors that I have. And I noticed I don't have my little green bush in the little corner here, I don't have it colored or outlined. So I'm just gonna do that right now too. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a green up because I know that I've got some areas where I want green. And I'm gonna show you how to lighten your green. Because I'm gonna do a dark green and a light green. So first what I'm gonna do is I actually sort of have some white already in there. You just add white to whatever color you're using, or add green to your white and move it around. And actually, you know what? I need some more white. I'm gonna go get some more white. Just hold tight, guys. Maybe you need a minute to catch up. I'm just gonna grab more white. Okay, so I'm gonna just take my squeeze of white, but you've got lots of white. I've been using this paint for other things. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix it around and around, and then you can see it's really lightening up. And I'm going to then get my water, and I'm just gonna add some water, some paint to my water, and a little bit more. And I'm just going to then, oh, I like that. That's really pretty. Looks really good against the red. Oops, and I brought in some red from the house. Well, that could happen to you too. I've got a bit of a glob there. That's why we have to be a little bit more careful, because what happens is, here I'm just gonna go over top with some of this. What happens is, this isn't a true watercolor. That's why I'm saying we're cheating a bit, but we can make it work. And really, in nature, trees have lots of brown in them, and red and green. So if this happens, it's like Bob Ross says, happy little accident, happy little trees, beautiful oops. And I love all of that. And that's why I do my videos. I don't edit my videos, because I want to have things come up that might actually come up for you, and see that it's not the end of the world. You can still make it work. Still look beautiful. Okay, so now, and another way that you can do this is if you're more of a perfectionist, is to just let your colors dry in between. Okay, so now we're gonna do some blue up in the sky, but I actually really want to add some white. I wanna lighten the sky because, and I'm just using this because my other white, I left the lid off. Let's be honest, I left the lid off, it dried out. Okay, so don't leave your lids off, guys. I'm gonna lighten this up and go in behind here. Ooh, I love that. When your painting dries, if you don't have some really sharp black lines because your paint wasn't watered down enough, you can always take your crayon after or your markers and brighten those lines up by tracing them. I've done that before lots. But this is gonna look like a really nice painted portrait. And I'm going to go right along here. Woo. Get in there. Ooh, this is really, oh, this sky is just tying everything in together. I love this. Okay, so I'm coming all the way around here, in here. Okay. And in here. Okay, and then I'm also going to dab a little tiny bit just down in there and on this side because my house kind of slants in there. Oh, this is coming together so nice. I love this picture. Okay, now I want to get my green, just like a regular green, because I'm going to do the inside of my tree. And I want it to be dark. So I'm just mixing in there. See if I mixed enough. And there we go. That looks a lot more like a watercolor. But it's not very dark, so you have to decide. It won't cover up over your crayons. You don't have to be as careful. But maybe you want it a bit darker, because see, I can just go right over top. That's acting more like a true watercolor, but it's not as dark. So that's gonna be what you have to decide. If you wanna be more careful, you can keep the paint thicker. And if you don't wanna be as careful, then you're going to just sort of use it watered down. Now, right here, I know I need some color and I don't have a greenhouse. And see, I didn't know what color I wanted this house to be, but after I had everything painted, I could just see that I wanted to put some green down here too. Go down around my flower garden and come over and around. Now I'm kind of rushing too because I know this video is quite long and I don't know if you guys want it to be this long, but you take your time. And I'm gonna leave that other house white because I think it kind of just makes it look interesting. It's got the white in this corner and then the other corner has the cloud. So now I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do for your frame. You're gonna want this to dry completely before you work on your frame. But in your box, you have those canvases and your parents are gonna help you. But you're going to take the white canvas off of that frame and you're gonna get this cute wood frame. And we're gonna put some glue, some hot glue, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're gonna press this frame onto our picture. And then you're gonna have a beautiful, beautiful painting in your frame. Now mine's not dry, so it's not gonna be good for gluing right now, but that's what it'll look like. Now, the other thing you can also do is, I'm just gonna move the camera up so I can also say goodbye.